Praise y'all, brothers and sisters. Praise the Most High. This is part 2 of Yahuah is not a God, even with a capital G. He is not a God. There's no way that he is honored by placing him on the same level as that is created by man, that which can't talk, walk, see, or hear, has no power, has no might. Baruch are all those who revere Yahuah and who walk in his ways. So I'm going to read some of the verses that we read in part 1, just to share some of the things that I shared in part 1 before I get into the verses even, is that Yahuah is not a God, and there is none to compare to him. They that are called such, that are called GODs, are all created by man. Yet no one created Alahym. He is the self-existent, eternal, invincible, great and mighty one, the all-knowing one. In his own one, he describes himself as such. I am the Aleph and the Toph, the beginning and the end, says Yahuah, the Almighty. He who is and who was and who is to come, the Almighty. He's the ruler of all. He has authority and power. He is authority and power. He manifests his power and authority in everything he does. He is the manifested one. He is infinite. He's ever existing. He is creator. He is authentic. He is true. There's none to compare to him. He even said that he looked, my paraphrasing, he looked and couldn't find no one. Like, I went and checked for myself. Y'all talking this stuff, you got mighty ones, you calling them mighty ones. I'm going to check for myself, even though I know better, but I just want to do it so I can come back and tell y'all. I searched from Shamayim and all through the arrests and underneath the arrests, and there is none like me. In Shemot 12, verse 12, I read and will read now. For I, Yahuah, saying, will pass through the land of Mizraim, Egypt, this night, the Passover night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Mizraim, both man and beast, and against all the GODSs of Egypt, I will execute judgment, proving them helpless. I am Yahuah. So that night, them people knew that all them guys they had erected, those big cobra looking things and wherever else they were worshiping, they couldn't help them that night. They didn't help them when they got to the Red Sea either. So every time they put God and they think and they act like they're honoring him, they know what they're doing. Honoring him by putting a capital G and oh, we bought it. I bought it. When I was in Christianity, I bought it. Oh, they're honoring him. And anytime you see the Lord in all caps, oh, that's the mighty one. It's not, it's not just any master. It's not just talking about any man. It's talking about the great one. Yeah, okay. What they're trying to do is defame him. But he is the Almighty. And he can be vengeful. And he's already promised that he's going to repay to those who deserve it. Paul in Acts 17, verse 29, he said, for as much then as we are the offspring of Alahym, we ought not to think that Alahym is like unto gold or silver or stone, graven by art and man's device. Yahuah is not on the same level as a God, even with a capital G. He has not been created by man, nor in the imagination of man's heart. He is real. He is real. And he's moving, and he's living, and he's wise, and he's powerful. And he means what he says, and he says what he means, and he does it. 1 Corinthians 4:20, for the rule, authority, and power of Alahym is not in word, but it is in power. He is power. His word has power. Yohanan the Immersive said, he who comes from above is far above all others. He who comes from the Arets, the earth belongs to the Arets, and talks the language of the Arets. His words are from an earthly standpoint, but he who comes from the Shamayim is far above all others, far superior to all others in prominence and in excellence. Tahalim 1:13-4, the Almighty is high above all nations, and his esteem is above Hashamayim. Who is like Yahuah the Almighty, who has his seat on high, who humbles himself to regard the Shamayim and the Haaretz. So he has to humble himself to even deal with us. Romans 1:21, because that when they knew Alahym, they regarded him not as Elohim, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed. I'm going to say they attempted to change, because there's no way they're going to change the esteem of the incorruptible Alahym into the image made like to corruptible man. And they tried to change his esteem to look like birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. And we looked at a picture. I guess I should just go ahead and do that for you so you can see it on this one. And of course, we know they got all kinds. But you know, he always has his hand a certain way. They have all these emblems all around that are part of other of pagan stuff, and so, you know, like I said in the last part one, like, why didn't we know better growing up, seeing that, to think like, wait a minute, how do they know what he looked like? People who lived around that time didn't take pictures, and so how were they able to? You know, because if they were going by description of him in the word, in the book, they would see that his skin's supposed to be bronze and his hair is supposed to be like wool. He don't look like that. So where did they get this image from? But we didn't question. We didn't question. But praise be to Yah, he saw something in us. He called us out of darkness into his marvelous light. And so we're going to move on with that and learn more and more and more. Yield ourselves more and more. Oh my. So he told us not to learn the ways of the heathen. He told us not to let our sons and daughters marry into them, because they were going to teach our children to honor those man-made idols, and how to follow the vain imaginations of our hearts, because we're following after them. That's why y'all better be careful, better be mindful about following people on these social media things. Better know where they're leading you. Best yet, don't even follow. Don't even say you follow them. Even if it's something that you really like their material, don't say you're following them. All right, of course, you do what you want to do. You're grown. So I'm not going to apologize, but I will say I'll try to be more mindful of how I'm talking to you. Because you do what you want to do, but love wants me to let you know that we really need to be mindful of that. So, okay, so this is part 2. We're going to read from Daniel 3. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 80, or 60 cubits, which is approximately 90 feet. Kind of reminds me of those statues that are in the Capitol building. Oh my goodness, those statues are so high, so tall. And so many almost can't walk through the hallways. Anyways, so the statue that he erected was 90 feet tall and about 10 feet wide. And he set it up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then an announcer cried aloud, "To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and tongues, that at the time you hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer," which is a stringed instrument, "and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. And whoever falls not down and worships shall the same hour be thrown into the midst of a burning fiery furnace." Now, okay, they did this on purpose because they knew certain Hebrews were not going to do it. And they wanted them dead because of the high position that they held. There are certain Hebrews. So they did the music and everything, and everyone bowed except for when everyone bowed, there was 3 still standing. And so these leaders, nobles, they went to the king and said, "There are certain Hebrews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon." Like, look, you set these Hebrews in these high positions, and Yahuah, Mashiach, and Azariah, these men, O king, have not regarded you. They serve not your gods, nor worship the golden image that you set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Kanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said to them, "Is it true, O Yahuah, Mashiach, and Azariah, that you do not serve my gods, nor worship the golden image that I have set up? Now, if you be ready, that at what time you hear the sound of the cornet," in other words, I'm going to give you another chance. So when you hear the sound of the music, if you fall down and worship the image that I have made, it'll be well with you. But if you do not worship, you will be in that same hour thrown in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that capital God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Yahuah, Mashiach, and Azariah answered and said to the king, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer you in this matter." Like, we don't even have to think about it. "If it be so that our capital God whom we serve," and I always say, did they really say capital God? No, we know they said Aluah or Alahym or Yahuah. We know they didn't say no God because they knew who he was and is. They didn't put him in the category of some idol. So anyway, so they said, "We are not careful, because if it be so that our Elohim, our Yahuah Alahym, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known, O king, that we will not serve your gods, nor worship the golden image that you have set up." Then Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and the form of his expression was changed against Yahuah, Mashiach, and Azariah. In fact, in other words, he didn't think the same about them anymore. And his face went from trying to be diplomatic and saying, "Now, come on now, if you'll do it, the next time you hear it, if you'll just," his face changed. He was angry. So therefore he commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was accustomed to being heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Yahuah, Mashiach, and Azariah, and to throw them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments. They were dressed like Hebrews, and were thrown into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because of the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot. The flames of the fire slew those men that would dare take up Yahuah's servants, Chanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah. And these three men, Chanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. That should have been a sign right there for Nebuchadnezzar. What? The men that threw him in were killed? Oh man, maybe I better double think this, but he didn't. That's that vanity. People get so high and mighty, they think they're greater than the Most High. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose in haste and spake and said to his counselors, Did not we throw three men bound in the midst of the fire? They answered and said to the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see four men loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the son of capital G, O-D. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and said, Chanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah, servants of the Most High, capital G-O-D, come forth and come to me. Then Chanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah came out of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was a hair of their head singed. Neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire passed on them. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, Baruch be the capital G-O-D of Chanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah, who sent his messenger and delivered his servants who trusted in him. Brothers and sisters, we got to get to a place where we trust him, and have changed the king's words. So in other words, he's saying this capital G-O-D, he sent a messenger to protect them and delivered them because they trusted in him, and even changed the king's word. And it says, and yielded, but I don't think the word's supposed to be yield. I think it's supposed to be he shielded. Yahuah shielded their bodies, that they not serve nor worship any G-O-D except their own capital G-O-D, which we know is Alahym. Therefore I make a decree. Nebuchadnezzar is going to make a decree. He became a believer that every people, nation, and tongue who speak anything amiss against the G-O-D of Chanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill. Your house is going to become a sewer. Because there is no other capital G-O-D that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted. So they got a higher promotion. He promoted Chanayahu, Azariah, and Mashiach in the province of Babylon. He said no other can deliver after this sort. That's why he is not a G-O-D. Because they can't deliver. Daniel 6 verse 1. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes who should be over the whole kingdom. And over these three presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give account to them, and the king should have no damage. Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes because of an excellent ruah was in him. And the king thought about setting him over the whole realm. He wanted to give him, it was almost like Yoshef. He wanted to put him underneath him. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men, We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his G-O-D, capital G-O-D, by the way. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains, we have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree that whoever shall ask a petition of any capital G-O-D or man for 30 days, except for you, O king, he shall be thrown into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, that cannot alter. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree because he was vain and he liked that. Oh, except they come to me? Oh, okay. Which wasn't that the case already anyways? He was the king. Oh, well, anyways. Vanity, deceit, conceit. Whew. They'll make man do just about anything. And most of these leaders, it seemed like they already thought that they were they thought they were GODs. Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber towards Yahuah, he knelt upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his capital God, which we know he did not say that, his Alahym, as he always did. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making a supplication before his capital God, which we know is Alahym. Then they came near and spoke before the king concerning the king's decree. King, have you not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any capital God or man other than you within 30 days, O king, shall be thrown into the lion's den? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the laws of the Medes and Persians, that it can't be altered. Then they said to the king, that Daniel, who is of the children of the captivity of Yahuah, does not regard you, O king, nor the decree that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased within himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled with the king and said to the king, now you know, O king, that the law of the Medes and the Persians is that no decree nor statute that the king establishes may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, your capital God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you. And a stone was brought and laid to the mouth of the den. And the king sealed with his own signet, with the signet of his nobles, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the break of day, and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice to Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living capital God, is your capital God, whom you serve continually, able to deliver you from the lions? Then said Daniel to the king, O king, live forever. My Alahym, my Alahym, Yahuah, my Alahym, the great and mighty one, has sent his messenger and shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, as also before you, O king, have I done no hurt. Then was the king exceedingly glad for him, and commanded they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his Alahym. I'm not saying that, well, I'm going to say it. They said capital God. But we know he believed in his Yahuah Alahym. And the king commanded, and they brought these men who had accused Daniel, and they threw them into the lion's den, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had a mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces as soon as they came down to the bottom of the den. Isn't that so sad? Then King Darius wrote unto all the people, nations, and tongues that dwell in all Haaretz, peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the capital God of Daniel, for he is the living capital God, and steadfast forever in his kingdom, that shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. Here, listen to him testifying of the great one, the almighty one. He said his kingdom that shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivers and rescues, and he works signs and wonders in Hashemayim and Haaretz. He who delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in his reign in Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. He was around for Nebuchadnezzar too, so that's 3 kings. Our Elohim is not a God. He is not a God, and how dare they? They're going to pay, though. I don't have to be concerned about that. They're going to pay. Colossians 1 verse 16, for by him were all things created that are in Hashemayim and in Aharetz, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him, and he is above all things, and by him all things consist. Yeshayahu 45:18, for thus says Yahuah that created the Shemayim, capital God. So they said, I'm not even going to read how they say it, because you know what I'm saying. So wherever I say Alahym, I'm replacing it. I'm replacing those capital Gods. Elohim himself that formed the earth had made it. He has established this. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahuah, and there is none else. Look unto me and be saved, all the ends of the earth. For I am Elohim, and there is none else. I have sworn by myself, the word is gone out of my mouth in righteousness and shall not return, that unto me every knee shall bow and every tongue shall swear. So he said, look, I know I'm truthful. I know I'm authentic, so I'm going to swear by myself. Yeshayahu 44, verse 24. Thus says Yahuah your Redeemer, he that formed you from the womb. I am Yahuah that makes all things, that stretches forth Hashemayim alone and spreads abroad Haaretz by myself. I don't need nobody. One verse in Talim says, if I was hungry, I wouldn't tell you. I don't need to tell you. The other one says he owns cattle on 1,000 hills. Oh my goodness. Whew. That frustrates him. So I am the one that frustrates the signs and gestures and keepsakes and demonstrations of the liars. Everything liars do, I frustrate them and make diviners mad. I'm the one who turns wise men backwards and make their knowledge foolish. That confirms the word, but then he turns around, he confirms the word of his servant and performs the counsel of his messengers, that says to Yerushalayim, you will be inhabited, and to the cities of Yehudah you shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places thereof. So he's going to do it. It's already done. We're just going to see it come to fruition. Yeshayahu, because once he said it, it's done. Yeshayahu 44:18, to whom then will you liken Elohim, or what likeness will you compare unto him? The workman melts a graven image, and the goldsmith spreads it over with gold and produces silver chains. He that is so impoverished that he has no offering chooses a tree that will not rot. He seeks to himself a cunning workman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not recognized from the foundations of the earth? It is he that sits upon the circle of the Haaretz, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretches out Hashemayim as a curtain, and he spreads them out as a tent to dwell in. He brings the princes to nothing. He makes the judges of Haaretz as vanity. To whom then will you liken me, or shall I be equal? Says the just Kodash one. Lift up your eyes on high and behold, who created these things, that brings out their host by number. He called them all by names by the greatness of his might. For he is strong in power. No, not one fails. Nothing he's done has failed. Have you not known, have you not heard, that the everlasting Elohim, Yahuah, the creator of the ends of the earth, faints not, neither is weary? There is no searching of his great wisdom. He gives power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases strength. They that wait upon Yahuah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Now, what God can do that? Barashit 1. And Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of the Shemayim. And Elohim created great whales and every living creature that moves, and the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim baruched them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the Haaretz. And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And Elohim made the beasts of the earth after his kind, the cattle after their kind, and everything that creeps upon the earth after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was good, and Elohim said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cat, and over all earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the haaretz. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim baruched them. And Elohim said, the fish of the sea and over the fowl. And Elohim said to them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. He gave us dominion over. That's another thing we don't realize, or we don't act upon it. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed that is upon the face of all the arets, and every tree, and in it is yielding seed of the fruit of the tree, that to you it shall be for meat, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the arets. Wherein there is life, I give every green herb for meat, and it was so. So, I guess it won't be a part 3 because I'm finished. How can he be compared to any? He delivered Daniel from the lions because he trusted in him and he knew his Elohim. He delivered Shanayahu, Mashiach, and Azariah from the burning furnace because they trusted in him and they were willing to die for it because they knew that he was greater than some 90-foot image that some men made. And Abraham, he did the same thing to his father's thing. He was brought up to know those idols, but something in him, that ruah that was ministering to him, they started him questioning, like, what, this thing falls and I have to pick it up, or someone else has to pick it off the ground. If he's so great and mighty, why, and his questioning that, he came to know Yahuah. So brothers and sisters, we have to get a new mindset about this great one, the I am that I am, the one that was and is to come, the one who knows all things, sees all things, does all things well, the one who is self-existent, has no beginning, no end. We can't be seeing him as a God, even though we know in our head that those words were put in there. But he's not only as the words, they were trying to using those words, they pretty much, the mental attack, warfare, was to get us psychologically to still see him on the same as a God, but the Almighty. And they call, like I said, in these translations we have, they take the little gods and make them other mighty ones. No, they're not mighty. They can't do a thing. They can't do a thing. And actually, our adversary, Yah's opponent, the only power he has over us is suggestion, and then it's up to us to know truth and not give in to his suggestions, not to receive his lies, to take his thoughts and then speak them. So he only has that much power over us when our lust gives away to the temptations. And so we give him power. We make him mighty because he isn't. There's only one Almighty, and he's not even in the category of anything else. Everything else was created, made by man's hands. Yah is the creator. They made things with their hands. I don't even like to even say they created. They made things with their hands. So brothers and sisters, you may already have known all this, but I felt led to bring this to you because I see it differently now. I knew he was above them, but I I think it was of the same mind frame as what they kind of like influenced me and brainwashed me to see that he was just mightier than, them. And no, he's nowhere near them. Mortal man made things. So whether people honor their cars to the point of making them a God, or their spouse or their children or their job, or tangible, something that is made, especially in a lot of different religions, they actually they erect these different statues and things. But whatever it is, they are not the creator, the one who is to be honored and esteemed. The Almighty, the capital THE, the Almighty One, the invincible, all-powerful one, the one that makes his presence known. He's not in their category. He's not in their category. He's untouchable. When it comes to comparison, who can be compared to him? There's none, nowhere. So brothers and sisters, be encouraged. We have a lot to be encouraged about. So until next time, let's keep winning. Win every battle, because we win with Yah. And when we know that we're in his camp, that we're trusting in him, he will definitely show up for us. I like how he said what he was going to do to the GODs of Mizraim. He let them know, you ain't nothing. You can't even protect your people. I'm coming through your land and I'm killing every firstborn male, every firstborn human and animal, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. So until next time, you be encouraged and stay encouraged. And remember that we win. We win in Yah.